Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world of Aja Pearl. It's my world, and I'm so happy you're here. As you know, today is Valentine's Day. Those who are anti Valentine's Day, that's okay. And those who are pro Valentine's Day, that's okay. But always know that every day is the 14th. But without any further ado, my special guest today is a model, an actor, and Mr. Man of Distinction Ambassador of 2021. That sounds really big. Please welcome my guest, Edward Tapia. How are you doing, Edward?
Hey Asia, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Happy Valentine's Day. Like you said, for those that do celebrate it, for those that don't, we still celebrate love every day and every year, right? Because love is celebrated
Absolutely.
all day, every day, and we demonstrate it with action, not so much with words. It's just the world takes one day out of the year to celebrate it as a whole. So um, it's been an eventful few weeks, but I'm doing well, thank God.
Amen. Amen. So, tell us, how did you get started in modeling?
That's a good question. So, how I got started in modeling, that happened over 12 years ago. I lived in
Hmm.
Pennsylvania at the time, and I saw a commercial on TV. Um, it was called Latin Talent TV, and it was on Telemundo, which is the one of the Hispanic networks. And
Hmm.
I was watching a soap opera called The Face of Analia. In Spanish, it's El Rostro de Analia. I was watching a soap opera faithfully every day. And there was a commercial that
You're
came
not
on.
alone.
What was that?
You're not alone.
Oh, you know about the soap opera. Who doesn't like soap operas, right?
I
And
know, right?
yes, and the Spanish ones are so Spanish soaps are so full of drama and so full of action, and then they don't last for forever. They're like a series, but they're really cool to watch.
Yeah.
And every day I was watching this soap opera, there was a commercial that came on that said, want to act, want to sing, want to dance, call this number. And every day that that came on, I remember it was Monday was the first day I saw the commercial, and I was like, well, you know, something inside me was like, call, and I'm like, well, I'm in my 30s at the time. I was in my 30s, and I'm like, they're not gonna like me. They don't think that I have a cleft lip. I have a cleft palate. They're just gonna tell me I'm not good enough because they're probably looking at the younger guys
Hmm.
and probably 20 times guys that are 20 times better looking than me. So it's not gonna work.
Hmm.
Well, that Friday of that week, I was like, you know what? The worst thing that can happen, Edward, is that they're going to tell you no, right?
Right.
If we don't try and we don't take that step of faith or that leap of faith to say, you know what, I'm going to try, I'm going to give it my all. And the worst thing that can happen in any interview, in any job, is that they tell you no. But at least you know that you took the effort and you took the step to say, I'm going to try this. And so I went, I called, and the lady said, casting ends tomorrow, which was Saturday. She said, if you come, we want to see a model. I said, oh, don't worry. When I get there, you will see a model. I'm like, I act like I was a model before. I'm like, yeah, you'll see a model when I get there. And I'm like, after I hung up the phone, I was like, oh, shoot.
Gotta fake it till you make it. Fake it till you
Fake it till you make it. And so I called my friend who was a hairdresser, and I asked her to do my hair. I put on some nice jeans with some nice dressy shoes and a nice shirt
Hmm.
so that I can look the part. And I
Hmm.
went to the DoubleTree Hotel in Philadelphia. And when I got there, they asked me to do. I had to sing. I had to do a runway, and I had to do a commercial. So they gave
What
me a
did you
piece of
sing?
paper.
What did you sing? What did you sing?
I sang a little bit of a little piece of a Spanish song,
Okay.
which is in English it's called "Purest of Pain." In Spanish, which happens to be a love song, by the way. In Spanish,
I know that song. Freaking love that song. I love
yes, it's
it.
called Puro Dolor by Sun by Four.
Mhm.
Um, and then they had me learn a commercial, and I had to pick out of so many commercials that they had.
Mhm.
So I picked one that was about vitamins, but I had a chapstick in my pocket. I'm like, you know what? I got 30 minutes to learn this commercial and 30 minutes to present it. I have a chapstick in my pocket. This chapstick is gonna be my vitamins,
That's right.
and I'm gonna use it as a prop, and I'm gonna bring it to life. And make a long story short, after everything was done, they were like, "Have you? modeled before? And I was like, no. Have you done commercials before? I was like, no. I said, the only thing that I've done for the most part of my life since I was like 6 or 7 or so is sing. You know, I
Mhm.
had no speech until I was 5. And the moment that God gave me the ability to speak, I started singing. And they said, well, you know, we love what you did on the runway. We love what you did in the commercial. We just think that you have something. Little did I know that the lady that was talking to me was the owner of Barbizon School of Modeling in Wilkes-Barre,
Mhm.
Pennsylvania.
Oh.
I just thought she was just there. I didn't know she was the owner of Barbizon, and I didn't know that she was the owner of D&D Model Talent Agency. So not only was she the owner of the school, but she was also the owner of a talent company as well.
Mm.
I'm just thinking that I'm in front of someone that's running a casting. I didn't know who she really was. She's like, well, her name is Deborah Desiderio. I love her to pieces because she helped shaped the model that I am today in every aspect of it. And she said, well, we'll see you next week. Model runway coaching starts next week. Girl, I was in runway coaching for 6 months. And it was just
Mm.
walking and walking, literally walking for 4 hours. Sometimes it was 8 hours of just straight runway walk.
Wow.
Um, and the funny thing about it is that at the time Lady Gaga had come out with that romance.
Yeah.
And I would drive home every single rehearsal after rehearsal with that Gaga. Because that was the song that we had to walk to. For the most part, it was the thing, and it was that, I guess, the energy that the song brought to the runway.
Right.
So they would use it a lot, but it was like over and over on repeat. So it was like in my head, like, oh my god. So that's
They
how
should
the
have played
model.
applause.
That's where it began at Philadelphia,
Okay.
PA, at the DoubleTree Hotel.
Oh my gosh. So it sounds like this woman was like your fairy godmother and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, yeah. Because and it's interesting that you say that because after that, after the 6 months of training, my first big runway show was at that same hotel at the Philadelphia DoubleTree. They did a really big event which was aired on Telemundo, the Spanish
Right.
television show. Daniela Polanco, which is a famous reporter from Primer Impacto, which is
Mhm.
another Hispanic news outlet,
Mhm.
and she's one of the main reporters for that particular show. She was the host of the night.
Okay.
And they also had a singer that was really dear to my family that we love that was Hispanic too, that he did some singing that night, and then I got to perform one of my songs too, which was really awesome that night when I sang. And but the biggest thing for me was really realizing when I got to the runway when it was part time for me to walk the runway and I was behind the stage and I saw all of the lights and all of the people and the runway. It just my life kind of went. It's almost like your life goes before you in a
Mhm.
matter of seconds, right? And you're like, oh my
Mhm.
god, I'm actually doing this. I'm actually here. And the reason
Yeah.
why that hits me every time I'm on stage, Asia, is
Mhm.
because I remember when I was 14 years old, I wanted to sing "Always" by Atlantic Star. Girl, you are to me all that a woman should be, and I
Yeah.
dedicate my life to you. So, um, I was going to sing that song with my friend Bernice, who is Black American,
Mhm.
and we were gonna really, tear that song up. And it was my moment to share that song in elementary school. I'm sorry, in junior high school.
Mhm.
And I was at junior high school 22 in Manhattan, and the teacher told me that I could not be in the talent show because the audience would laugh at me if I went on stage. So the reason
Wow.
why she said that was because I was born with a cleft lip with a cleft palate, so physically I didn't look the way I look now. Like my lip
Uh-huh.
was still under construction, my nose was still under construction because this was kind of open. My lip
Right.
was still open, so my teeth were not fixed. So what people see now is not the Edward that I was back then.
Right.
Um, and so it really took. a toll on me. I mean, I just remember running away from her in the hallway of the school, running down the stairs and then crying like a little kid would, right?
Right.
And a lot of times kids don't share things with their parents. They don't say things that happen to them in school with their parents, and they hold it in, which is what I did. I
Mhm.
think I just kept it within myself, but it shattered me. And so for her to say, you know, I couldn't be on stage because the people were going to laugh at me every time that I stepped on the stage, beginning that first runway show,
Mhm.
I always remember those words. And it could be a bad thing, but at the same time, I think I look at it as a good thing because
Mhm.
that reminds me every time I remember that that teacher said that to me, and
Right.
I look at myself on stage,
Mhm.
it reminds me that people's words do not define who you are, and they
Mhm.
do not define where you're going or
Right.
who you can be in the future.
That's right.
And people need to realize that someone is going to say something negative to you, and
Mhm.
it's okay, they can say whatever they want, right? Because we live in a free country and people can say whatever they want. But it doesn't mean that you and I have to accept and believe the negativity that comes out of people's mouths. We
Exactly.
don't have to accept the bullying. We don't have to accept the negativity. We don't have to accept the things that people say that you and I cannot do. All we
Right.
got to do is have a watch me attitude. And what that
Right.
means is that's your opinion. I'm
Mhm.
going to show you with my actions where I'm going, where I'm
Mhm.
heading, and what I'm capable of doing.
Exactly. Exactly. And going back to that teacher, looking back on it, I see it was a different time and a different place, and teachers, and she was probably thinking that she was doing it, she from the goodness of her heart or something like that, and she thought she was trying to save you embarrassment. But the truth of the matter is that she's an educator, and she's supposed to motivate you,
Right,
not you know make you feel bad about yourself.
right.
you know and I'm sure that if you told your parents what she said, she probably would have been reprimanded.
I'm,
Probably.
yeah,
Considering the like I said, considering the time and place it was, she probably would have been reprimanded.
right. And I
But
think that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry. Um, but I'm glad you took that negative and changed it into a positive, because when people tell you you can't do something, it's like, oh, you think I can't do this? I'm gonna show you why I can do it. And that's what you did. You showed this teacher. You think I can't do this because I have a cleft lip, and you thought people was not gonna accept me? I'm gonna show you better than I tell you. You know.
That's right,
And I'm sure who knows, if she would have allowed you to do your thing and sing your heart out, I'm sure you would have like been the star of the whole school, and nobody wouldn't cared if you had a cleft lip.
right. And I
But
think that where she missed, if she had a concern, she probably should have said, "Let me audition you.
right,
Let me hear you sing," because I could have been an inspiration to so many people in the audience, so many other students that may not have had a cleft lip.
right,
There's there's kids out there and people out there that have problems with obesity. They
right.
have a problem because they're too skinny.
Mhm,
They're being bullied for different things, and I
mhm,
could have been the voice that they have not heard from. I could be that person that could have been like, you know what, yes, I have a cleft lip, but I'm here on stage and I'm not afraid to stand on here on stage in the middle of the whole entire school and do my thing. And
right.
that could have been a message of positivity, which is an issue. Even back then it was an issue, and it's
Mhm,
still an issue today, because today
absolutely.
everything is like, you know, they say body positivity and they say we're trying to, bring forth um, positivity. But you look on social media and you look on at brands and you look at different types of media and things like that, and they don't truly celebrate beauty in everybody. They
They
really don't
don't.
celebrate, you know, what we can do. And I just want to make a clarification.
Mhm,
In order for me to become a model, I had to first of all believe in myself.
Right.
And I also had to be willing to be coached, willing to be coached into the model that I wanted to be. So people think, oh, I want to be a model, but I don't have the look. You may not have the look that's um, typically seen on television, the typical 6'1" or 6'2", or the really skinny body and so forth.
Right.
However, if you have that it factor, if you can dream it, then you can be it, right? If you can have
Absolutely.
that dream, then you can be it. And if you have that thing of belief in yourself, you
Absolutely.
utilize that to work on a better version of yourself. I'm working on a better version of myself every day. And
Mhm.
behind the scenes, when I'm not in social media, I'm working on my skin regimen.
Mhm.
Um, I literally do my skin day and night. I'm
Mhm.
talking moisturizer. I'm talking eye cream. I'm talking lotions. Um, I watch my eating, the way I'm eating. I exercise. So I'm not doing it to fit in with the world.
Mhm.
I do it because I want to build a better version of who Edward Tapia is, so that when I do present myself to a brand, or I
Mhm.
present myself to someone and I say I'm a model, that they see a model from head to toe. They may not see a model that's 6'2". They may not see a model that's drop dead gorgeous like a lot of these other models.
Mhm.
But I gotta make sure that when they do see me and I say I'm a model and he's my portfolio, that they
Mhm.
look at me from head to toe and say, "Oh, this man is a model."
Right.
And that's what you have to realize. People need to understand that you have to look the part. And that's one thing, Asia, that my model coach, Curtis Davis from New York, told us. If
Mhm.
you say you're a model, you need to look like one, act like one, talk like one, dress like one. You need to be one. Not just a model, a singer, actor, whatever you say that you are, you need to be
Mhm.
it.
And yeah, and those are really inspiring words because as you're talking, it makes me think of so many, so many, so many people who at one time was told that they couldn't do this because of the way they look. Like I forgot her, I don't know her name, but she has like a like she has like she has, she's one of those people that has like white skin and then dark
Yes,
skin.
yes.
Yeah, at one time, I can remember like back in the '80s, I'm an '80s baby. Um, that was unheard of. Like, oh no, we couldn't have that because see the standard of because what I saw the standard form of beauty was you were blonde hair, blue eyes, you looked like a Barbie doll. That's what I thought was the standard form of beauty, and I wanted to emulate that, but mind you, I'm a child, so I don't know better.
Right.
So I go to my mother at all people, and I tell her I think that's pretty. That's what I want to look like, and that was a big mistake. That was a
I
big
bet.
mistake. Let's some of just put it like that. That was a huge mistake on my part, but it was also a mistake on her part because she should have educated me that there are other types of beauty.
Yes.
There are other types of beauty. Um, I I know I don't know if this is a good example, but Lizzo is so, how can I put this? She has very high self esteem of herself.
Yes.
I mean, she's like, yeah, I'm a big girl, but I'm a big girl. What could I do about it? So all I can do is love the skin I'm in
That's it.
because that's what God made me.
That's it.
So what if I'm not you know 120 pounds? So what if I'm 220 pounds plus? Don't matter. As long as I am comfortable in my skin and I see a dime piece, if I see a diamond, then everybody's gonna see a diamond.
That's it. That's exactly it. And even when somebody doesn't see, and even when you don't see it in you, when you walk in your purpose and you walk and you believe it in yourself, when people see you, they're gonna see something in you and they're gonna tell you. It happens to me all the time. I can even tell you how many times I walk into the store and I'm shopping and I start bawling because the lady at the register is like, "Can I tell you something?" And she's like, "You're so gorgeous," and I'm like, the first time somebody told me that, the first time somebody told me those words, I sobbed at the register. And she was like, "Oh my God, did I say something bad?" I cried because I'm like, you think that I'm gorgeous? And I cried because that's not something that I see myself in. I don't
Mhm.
see myself in that manner. I don't see myself as a gorgeous man.
Right.
Um, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It keeps me humble because
Right.
I know my beginnings and I know um, where I was and how much I had to fight and how much I had to work on building who I am. Because every day it's a working experience for myself to build a better version of who I am inside and out.
Mhm.
So people will see beauty in you when you don't see it in yourself. That's how I got into pageantry. I went to an event in 2016 after filming for the Fashion Hero because I filmed for the Fashion Hero TV season one in Canada. And when I
Okay.
came back, I was a guest speaker at an event that talked about domestic violence and how these
Mhm.
women could come out of it and what they can do and the programs that are out there. So they had me come as a speaker of
Mhm.
motivation, of
Yeah.
self-esteem motivation and what they can do. And I talked about the modeling. I talked about um, my before and after with my cleft lip, and I had my portfolio so people can see my modeling photos. And as
Mhm.
I was talking, these women came by with these amazing gowns, amazing crowns. I mean, they looked freaking phenomenal. And I'm like, oh my God, who are these people? And when I see these people, they were so freaking gorgeous. And the crowns and the dresses, the gowns they were wearing. Well, Percy Lukey was the owner of this pageant. It was Plus Prestige. And Miss Plus Prestige, and then they had the Mrs. Division and the Ms. and so on and so forth for different categories, the teen division and things like that. And they also had the men's division. And she said after the event, "Have you ever done pageantry before?" And I'm like, she's like, "You would make an amazing king." And I'm like, "Me?" I literally laughed. I'm like, "You think I make an amazing pageant king in a men's division, male division?" Uh, no. That was my first reaction. Was like, she
Mhm.
said, and she said, "You know what? I just see something in you. You just have something. And I think you would be amazing in pageantry." And when she kept telling me that, I'm like, you know what, Edward? Because I'm a firm believer after everything that I went through in life and the sociology and psychology classes in college that got drilled into my head about self
Mhm.
talk, talking
Mhm.
to yourself.
Right.
I talk to myself.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, I said, Edward Tapia, this is an opportunity you're not going to lose anything. It doesn't hurt for you to try. This lady is believing in you when you don't even believe in yourself to be in pageantry.
Mhm.
Give it a try. And so I gave it a try. That year in 2016, I became Mr. Florida Prestige 2016. I reigned for a whole year. I went to Canada with my title and got to perform there and lift up the pageant on high. It was interesting when I went to Canada because when I went to Canada and I got on the plane with my sash and my crown, and people were like, and when I got to Canada, you have to go through customs. You have to go through customs, and it's a long process to get through customs to even get to,
Woo.
outside of the airport.
Mhm.
Um, and these people gave me royalty treatment on the airport. I mean, these treated me like I was a real king. And when I went to the events, the shows, I mean, they treated me like royalty. I was the
Nice.
Hispanic international model that was there from overseas. And I also had a pageant title. And they're like, here in Canada, we have never seen in Montreal a pageant king. We've always seen women.
Mhm.
So for them, it was like a big thing to see a man in
Sure.
male pageant.
Sure.
So that really boosted me. Like, It just took me to a whole another level, because pageantry is exactly that. It uplifts you. You learn so
Definitely.
many different things. It's like going back to the modeling when I went to Barbizon,
Mhm.
because the Deborah then had me work with her at the school, and the book for modeling, it talked about hygiene. It talked about your hair, how to take care of your skin, how to take.
Mhm.
They had mirrors to teach you how to do your own makeup. It's just self care is what that is,
Mhm.
right? Self care is important, and
Absolutely.
we don't feel good within our skin, and we don't feel for the women pretty, or for the men we don't feel sexy, or we don't feel um, physically attractive. We
Mhm.
focus on self care because we don't love ourselves, and so that kills all those things that we could be doing that would benefit us.
Right.
So when I did the pageantry, now I got to focus a little bit more on what I wear, because when you're on stage, you need evening wear, and you need costume, and you have to get an outfit for every single category that you're going to compete in. So you have
Mhm.
to have more awareness of how you're dressing, of how
Mhm.
you're looking, of looking for a specific look for every category, and it
Mhm.
builds you and your spirit. It just kind of builds from the inside out. And so I've been hooked on pageantry. Then in 2018, I became Mr. Florida Man of Distinction at the All World Beauty pageant. In 2021, I did, because of the COVID, I had to do it online, but I did the uh, pageant for London. London, I became Mr. Classic Wow 2021. For
Great.
It's called the Wow Pageant London. They have
Mhm.
UK. I couldn't go there because it was COVID, and you know how that's been.
Mhm.
But I became Mr. Classic Wow Universe 2021. Um,
Yay.
Yay! That was when they said my name in the virtual thing. I was crying, and I was bawling. And I, I would never believe in my head that I would have an international title such as the Classic Wow Universe. From London, I got my sash, everything in the mail from them. I was in the magazine on the front cover of the Wow magazine. I have an international model award from UK that I also have here at home. Um, then I competed again at the Orwell Beauty of 2021 at Dallas, Texas, and I represented Canada because Canada, I lived there for a very long time from uh, filming for the show. I go there, so because of the pandemic, I have not been there.
Mhm.
Canada holds a big place in my heart because of my growth as a model.
Mhm.
So I represented Canada. I won my title of Mr. One. I signed a
Uh huh.
contract for several months. June of this year, I'll be going back to Texas to,
Yay.
to crown my successor. So, you know, it's an amazing journey. I hope that everyone that's watching they talk about all of this. That more than anything, if you grab and this thing that you are having, is that you believe in yourself. And I can ask nothing else. It, then you can be it.
If you can dream it, you can be it. Exactly. Um. And I think it's really important for a lot of people who feel that you know. And I have to say, the media is like a monster because the media tells you, well, this is in, this look is in. So you gotta look that way in order to be accepted. And then the next thing you know, they're moving to something else and they're like, well, this is it. Now you gotta be like this. And see, I can remember that, having these dangerous curves because being curvy, for a woman is in. You gotta have big boobs and a small waist and big hips and a big booty and all that stuff. And it's like now you got women getting fake boobs,
Yes.
big butts, and
Mm.
I'm like, wow. One time, that was unacceptable. That was considered to be fat. And I'm like, wow. But they have. I know now that you speak about your story, and I think it's amazing how you had a cleft lip and you took the leap in becoming a model. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You took the leap in becoming a model, and then you just put yourself out there, even though you felt like you felt awkward. You just put yourself out there, and I think that's amazing. And because you put yourself out there, you know, you met your godmother, fairy godmother, and it's just like it just took off. Everything just took off. So I think you know people just need to take that leap and just stop getting in their own way of, you know, I can't do this because I look like this and I'm not, and people wouldn't like me. What people fail to understand, whether it's you're modeling or you're an actor, like for example, um, what is her name? Viola Davis. Viola Davis is a beautiful black woman, okay?
yes,
But at the same time, she's relatable because she looks just like us.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yes,
And and she's and as an actress, she's amazing. She's amazing. And yes, she may not be runway. She may not be like for the runway. And she may not be like a Naomi Campbell type,
right,
and that's fine. But the reason why we like Viola is because she's relatable.
yes,
She looks like that. She looks like that woman from that lives down the street. She looks like that mom that takes her kids to school on a daily basis. She looks like that working woman. And
yeah,
we need people more like Viola Davis.
yes,
Another example is MJ Rodriguez, a
yes,
trans woman.
yes.
And who knew that a trans woman would win an Oscar? I think did she win an Oscar?
Recently, yeah, at the Reading Awards for her role in Pose.
Right. She won an Oscar, and I love that movie. I love that show, Pose. Love it, love it, love it.
Me too.
Freaking amazing. The whole cast was amazing, but Blanca was my favorite.
Yes,
She was my favorite. MJ was Blanca. Okay, MJ was Blanca, and you would have never thought that a trans woman would have won any kind of award.
right. I didn't even know at first that she was a trans woman at all.
She
And
is trans.
first when I first started watching the episodes, I had no idea. Like, wow, because you wouldn't. I mean, unless it was told, you wouldn't even know. That,
Right.
and so, but her character and her acting was,
It was phenomenal.
yeah, her acting was phenomenal. It was like I want to keep watching her. It was that kind of watch it, and you like I want to see more of her. There's characters that when you watch a movie or a show, there's characters that bring you wanting more. Not necessarily may not be because the show itself is. Sometimes it's just that one character that just I want to see more of that. Like Billy Porter, his character was another like he was amazing. Now his voice, his performance, everything was just like, oh my god, I want to watch more of it. But,
Right.
and so watching the whole season was life changing. I cried so much watching them episodes.
Ooh, we would have had a pose party and just cried together.
Get the whole box of tissues.
Yes.
But you bring up a good point. You bring up a very good point about being relatable. And when I started doing the modeling thing after I was done and I moved to Florida, I started doing my own thing in the sense where I needed to bring forth images and pictures that were outside the box. Because
Mhm.
the other factor is, how are you going to get people's attention if you don't bring something unique and something different that people have not seen? How are you going to draw attention to your social media? Because unfortunately, right now, when you do a casting,
Mhm.
they're going to ask you for your Instagram, for your Facebook. If you have a Facebook, if you have a Twitter, that's life. That's what it is now in the 20th century.
Right.
The casting companies, um, runway shows, New York Fashion Week, all these shows, they want to see how active you are on social media
Mhm.
and if you have any popularity, or they want to see image. So if they go to your Instagram and you're like, I'm a model, but you're not projecting, there's no images there that say model, you just have selfies. Selfies are cool, okay. But if you want people to believe in what you say you are, you want
Mhm.
to also project that in your things that you post. So I try to always do things outside the box. Like
Right.
for this interview, I'm wearing a floral print shirt and a purple hat to go with it. You know,
Mhm.
it's simple, but I did it because I'm on video. We're doing a video chat. At the end of the day, when we
Mhm.
post this interview, we want to make sure that we're, even with what we're wearing, as in your red dress that you're wearing, you
Mhm.
know, that alone attracts someone, because there are people that are visual and there are people that are audio. Those
Right.
that are visual, they want to see who's talking. They want to see, oh my God, let me see what they're wearing. Like that in this world, and that will get also more gigs and more phone calls and more people by what they on you. So it's very important. Number one, be relatable
Right.
with the world, but at the same time, you be unique in what you bring forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we want to see people we can relate to. We want to read about people we can relate to, because um, in my first book, because I'm a self-published writer, um, I try to include everyone, and I'm not saying that I want to include everyone because I don't want people to feel left out. I lived in New York, aka the world, and I lived around so many different people from different walks of life, different cultures, and I've included um, blacks, whites, Latinos, even Southeast Asians, and the LGBTQ plus community, because that's the environment I grew up in, you know.
Yeah.
And I have one character who's a young black girl who was involved with a immigrant from India. They broke up, but she after the breakup she finds out that she's pregnant, so now she's a single parent, you know. Then I have a white family, and they're Catholic, but they want to open up a bar, which is completely against their religion. We're like, selling the devil's nectar? No, y'all can't do that. And then add insult to injury, they open up a bar in the um in the LGBTQ plus community, in an enclave, in an LGBTQ enclave of the city, and that's a super no.
Uh huh.
So that's one challenge, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yes.
If you're an LGBTQ ally and you have others that are not LGBTQ allies, and they're looking at you like why would you associate yourself with the LGBTQ plus community? They're corrupt and blah blah blah. They're confused and all this other nonsense. It's like people can relate to that. And then you have a guy who who doesn't
Yes.
who who is in a who was arranged to marry somebody, but he ends up falling for another girl. So he's at the crossroads with, well, what should I choose for tradition or love? So I know a lot of people have that have those kind of dilemmas.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear you.
You
Can you hear me
can't?
now?
I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can't?
Let me try. Hold on. Now?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Oh, okay, guys, we kind of lost Edward, but let's try to get him back, okay? I mean, we're having an awesome conversation, but technical difficulties. So let's just send him another invite. Okay. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, if you guys are on Facebook, I and if you catch my page, okay, he's back. All right. Hello.
Hey, I can hear you. I'm like, what happened with the. You were talking and you were explaining everything and it just cut out for a minute there.
Yeah, damn technical difficulties. That's okay. That's okay. We're
Luckily,
having a
we're
we're having
halfway
an
through the
awesome
interview, right?
conversation. I love it.
Luckily, we're like 45 minutes in. We're like, technical difficulties always had to happen. But I hope that everyone is being nurtured and really being blessed by what we're talking about, which is
I hope so too, and I hope that they would take a piece of this, of this visit, with them, and
yes,
understand that when they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't look at the flaws. They look at the beauty
yes,
within themselves.
yes. And I think
Because
that for me,
that,
that the thing that made me uh, also really overcome is learning that I could not change the circumstances of being born with a cleft lip or a
hmm
cleft palate. Those
hmm
are the things I couldn't change, right? Because it was my reality, it's the way I was born.
right,
What I could change is where I was heading and how I was going to move forward along with the cleft lip and the cleft palate. And I learned to embrace who I was in the moment. That's very important to embrace who you are in that moment, which is what I did, so that that would allow me to go forward. What that means is embrace myself and love myself with the cleft lip, with the cleft palate, with the overweight or whatever pounds I had going on, and with the look that I had on, love all of that about me, and then work on a better version of myself that would help me to love myself even more. A lot of
hmm
people that I've spoken to, guys, because there are a lot of men out there that are self-conscious about themselves, but because they have a macho thing going on, they won't
of
talk about it.
course
Because
not.
women will be open about their feelings. A lot of men, they hold back.
Right.
Because they got to be macho and we got to be tough and we got to, we can't share our feelings and men don't cry, and that's all drilled into our culture, right?
hmm
But there's a lot of men that I've spoken to that are obese,
hmm
that they're like, I like the way you dress, and I would wear that when I look like you, or when I lose pounds like you are. Going back to what you were talking about earlier about looking like somebody else.
hmm
And I said to a few of those guys that I've come across, I said, you know what? That's the wrong mentality. That is the wrong mentality. And they're like, why? I said, because if you see is this shirt floral print that I'm wearing right now, for example,
hmm
if it's available in a 3X and a 4X and a 5X, whatever X you are,
hmm
and you guys want to buy it, wear it when you're a 4X, when you're a 5X, when you're whatever X you are. Because
Hell
that
yeah.
is a moment of you loving yourself. And I said to him, whenever you see something that you like, look for your size, buy it in your size. And he's like, why? I said, because that right there is where the change begins. And he's like,
Mhm.
what do you mean? I said, because in that moment, you start to love yourself with all of your weight. You start to love yourself as big as you are.
Mhm.
And because you are going to the gym, because this particular guy was going to the gym, I said, when you get to your size 32 waist or whatever waist that you are, you're
Mhm.
going to love yourself even more because then you would have left that bigger guy in the past.
That's
The
right.
moment that you wait to wear an outfit that you really like until you feel like, oh, I want to get it when I'm that size, no, get it when you're bigger. Because that's why I say embrace who you are today and your tomorrow will be brighter. Love
Amen.
everything about you today. Love
Amen.
yourself with all the thickness, with all the weight, with all the flaws, everything that you have that you think is wrong about you. You need to learn how to love all of that about you now. Because then
Mm.
what happens is when tomorrow comes and you reach another level and you reach another Asia, you reach another Edward, and you're like, oh damn, this is where I am at today.
Mhm.
Can't nobody tell you that you're ugly. Can't nobody tell you that you're fat. Can't nobody tell you that you're skinny. Because by that point, you already love everything about you to the point that you don't care what anybody got to say. Everybody else's comments are irrelevant. Years ago, I would cry about it. I would sob about it. Now, I just laugh and I keep it moving because
Right.
I'm not at that same place. I'm
Right.
nowhere near where I used to be. And I hope that everyone that's listening today takes that
Mhm.
opportunity to live in your present, live in your present, let go of the past, and move toward a brighter future.
I couldn't agree more. And it's important that you let go of the past because you don't want to live in the past. And unfortunately, a lot of people live in the past. And
Yes,
it's like you keep telling them you can't live in the past, you can't live in the past. And it's like in their mind, they're trapped in the past. And it gets to the point where, like, you know what, if you feel that you are trapped in the past, then you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life. You're
yes,
never going to thrive if
yes,
you continue to have that mindset of being stuck in the past and you can't move forward. Then you're gonna be like that for the rest of your life. And I'm sorry to say, people like that, you need to leave them alone because they're going to be toxifying your energy.
yes.
I
And
mean, you
I
wish
and I've
them
been
well.
there.
Yeah, and you wish them well, but I've learned that there are some people who still they are still embroiled in that toxic energy because for some reason they feel like they can't get out of it. And I'm like, you know what? I love you, but I can only love you from afar because if I allow you in my life, you're gonna be toxifying my energy. And I worked so hard to cleanse my energy from all that toxic mess, that garbage, and that junk. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that. I've lived with that my entire life. And it just recently that I cleansed it. And once you cleanse all that negative vibes and toxic energy, you feel so much better.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
much better.
I agree. And I tell people all the time, whatever's toxic in my life and it steals my peace, my joy, and my love, I let it go.
Right.
Anything that comes against me that I feel is stealing my peace, my joy, and my love, I already know I consider that toxic. Because if I don't have peace, I don't have love, and I don't have joy, I let it go. The Bible says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And so I
Right.
keep that dear to my heart. And anything that's trying to steal my peace, I let it go. And it's not easy because it is not easy.
Right.
It is easier said than done. However, it is possible. It is possible for us to move past our past and move forward. Even if you need, counseling, there's nothing wrong with counseling, guys. Even if you need counseling, um, even if you need somebody to talk to somebody that's not gonna point fingers at you or push you
Hmm.
down. Talk to
Mhm.
somebody that's going to A, stay quiet and listen, and then give you advice on how you can move forward. Because a real counselor is a person that is going to sit down and listen to you explain your mental health problems, or what, or your issues with society, or your issues with yourself, or your issues with self-esteem, anything that you have going on in your life. A real counselor is going to be quiet and listen, and then once you're done talking and sharing everything about you and what's going on in your life, then they're going to proceed and give you options. They're not going to be like, well, Asia, I told you so. You're so dumb. You remember I told you, you didn't listen to me. I told you
Mhm.
20 years ago. Oh, Eddie, I told you not to do this, not to do that. That's not how you um, counsel or give advice to someone, because in that moment you're taking the time to beat the person up verbally.
Yeah.
The person's already suicidal. The person's already going through mental illness. That they don't need that. They need to
Yeah.
be fed positivity. And I
Mhm.
encourage anyone that's listening, listen, through this pandemic, it's been almost 2 years. I haven't seen my kids, they're a little grown now, but since November of last year in Thanksgiving, which to me is not easy because it's not February.
Mhm.
I haven't been able to travel. They got COVID over there, and the COVID got better, and that kind of thing. So I've been home. So I understand the
Mhm.
the the issues of mental health and being home and not being able to go out. I bought things and put things on the wall, scripture, color, verbiage. I just put on my hallway of my house, uh, until God opens the next door, praise him in the hallway.
Mhm.
That's it. I
Yeah.
found that on Amazon, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna order this sticker until God opens the next door. Praise Him
Mhm.
in the hallway. So I'm telling everyone right now that's watching us on live on this particular interview, until God opens your next door, which is big, praise Him in the hallway. Praise Him in the midst of the circumstances. When I feel down and out, I still get my craziness on with my music, and right before this interview, I was listening to Mary Shackles.
Mhm.
It's listen to things that are going to nurture your ears.
Mhm.
Listening to negativity, it don't help. If you want to grow and you want to keep moving and you want your life to be nurtured, surround yourself with positivity. Change
Mhm.
your atmosphere. Put positive phrases, buy frames that have color, words that everywhere you look, like when I walk around my house and I turn, I see joy, I see peace. I see until God opens, the next door, dance in the hallway, praise in the hallway. When I go to the other room, I see, the word strength. Those
Mhm.
that wait upon the Lord will renew themselves like the eagles. I have all these things all over my house so that
Mhm.
it helps to minimize the negativity, and it helps to
Right.
minimize the bad thoughts and all of the things that are coming against us in the world that we live in today. Because even when you open Instagram or Facebook, I mean, every time I open Facebook, it's dreadful. I open the Facebook and there's footage of fighting, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that
Yeah.
nonsense. But
Yeah.
then if you and I put a song that's empowering, we get blocked and we get muted because we don't have rights to the song. But yet you're out there showing all this negativity and all this fighting and stuff, and you're not really sharing on social media the things that are positive, like what you and I are talking about.
Right.
Positivity.
Right. And it's funny you say that because you know, um, it's like everything is like all crazy. Everything is like opposite. Good is bad, and bad is good, and we want to look at evil stuff, and boring stuff is good stuff is boring. Like I don't want to live this. I don't want to live that way, and
Yes.
that is why I hate to say it, but I don't listen to hip hop anymore. I like once the '90s came in, I don't listen to hip hop anymore because it's just that's just my opinion. But I remember one time when hip hop had a message,
Yes.
and either you were saying a message or you were just having fun. Now it's all about disrespecting women and I listen to the lyrics and to me the lyrics don't make no sense. It's not telling me anything.
And
So
that's an important factor. I listen to music that are gonna speak to me, that have a message. If they don't have a message, then I'm not listening to it.
right.
That's
Huh.
true.
Well, um, before we close out, do you have any parting words for our visitors?
What was that?
Do you have any parting words for our visitors?
Oh, I certainly do. I certainly do. What I would tell you all, you know, if you picked anything about what we've talked about, is be bold, be fierce, and believe in you. Believe in who you are and all that is in within you, that you can become bigger and greater than what you've ever dreamed of. Trust God above all things and believe in what's inside of you, because we all have a dream inside of us and we all have a warrior that's inside of us that we just have to let it out and let it flourish, and that will help you become everything and anything you want to be.
Amazing. That is amazing. Well, Edward, I am so happy that you came to visit the world of Aja Pearl.
Oh, thank
I
you.
hope you come to visit again.
Yes.
It's always a treat talking to you, and
Thank
let's
you.
let's do it.
Yes, let's do it again. I have so many things
Yes.
going on for 2022, and I cannot wait to share. I have a magazine shoot coming up. I'll be on the front cover of the magazine with a
Ooh.
full spread, so I'll be sharing that soon when it's ready.
All right. Okay, y'all. That concludes our visit from the of the world of Aja Pearl. It's my world, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. Have an amazing rest of your day and
You
smooches to
too.
everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.